Lil Wayne appeared on the show Undisputed, new show on FS1, starring Skip Bayless and Shannon. And if you guys haven't checked that show out, to me, in my personal opinion, it's kind of a rip off of First Take. But I will say that Shannon Sharp, he's very blunt. He's been very honest. The first week, I thought he was gonna pull a Stephen A. Smith when he started talking about black on black crime, but since then, he redeemed himself, and he's been very honest, and he's been speaking about a lot of things that need to be spoken of when we deal with race in professional sports or just within America as a whole. But they had Lil Wayne on there the other day, and Skip Bayless asked him about racism here in America and the whole thing with Colin Kaepernick. And I don't know why Skip even asked Lil Wayne about racism here in America, because Lil Wayne don't give a damn about none of that. He backed it up with this answer. All Lil Wayne talks about is pretty much drugs, weed, money, and pussy. That's it. We can look at all his content within his music. That's all he talks about. And hey, that's what you want to talk about in your music, cool. Freedom of speech or whatever, cool. But stay in your lane. I think that's very important when we analyze ourselves. We have to know what our lane is. But he asked Lil Wayne, about everything that's going on in racism and everything, and Lil Wayne responded with, "In my 33 years, I haven't experienced racism," which is complete bullshit. And we have a group of people in today's time where, especially my black folks, we feel like if somebody doesn't call us a nigger, or somebody says, well, you can't eat at this establishment because you're black, then racism doesn't exist. So we feel like because we're able to go out and establish a certain amount of income, or live in a certain neighborhood, or drive a certain car, get a certain job, that racism doesn't exist. And everybody who points out racism or is dealing with racism is just using it as an excuse. But I'm going to go ahead and play this video of what Lil Wayne said, and I'll come back with some more of my commentary.
Like, oh, okay. So what's happening?
So you're a deep thinker in these issues.
Mm-hmm.
So step back from all of it. I know this is a very broad question, but where are we in the United States of America in race relations, and what you see from day to day in your life?
Skip, they wouldn't want to ask me that. They wouldn't want my answer to represent it, because God knows I have been nothing but blessed. My whole path, these 33 years have been nothing but a blessing. I have never, never is a strong word, I've never dealt with racism, and I'm glad I didn't have to. And I don't know if it's because of my blessings, I don't know if it's, but it is my reality. So I would have to say, not only did I thought it was over, I still believe it's over, but obviously it is.
So you've never experienced any offensive behavior from any other color or?
No, sir.
Wow.
But
you are blessed.
But you see what's going on even in your city, New Orleans, with Alton Sterling.
Yeah.
During Katrina,
yeah.
the officers that killed those and ended up in jail. So
yeah.
I know you say you're not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
But you see some of the things that's
what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. As far as no opinion on what's going on, I mean, of course, we all want somebody to figure out what's going on first, and then put a stop to it, or try to put a stop to it. Everybody come together and figure something out, and maybe just coming together is the solution. But we have to do that first. And obviously we have a bunch of differences. People feeling this way, people feeling that way. When you come to a person like me, my answer is always the same, man. My politics, my flag, my country, my nation, my world, all that is Reginae, Cameron, Neil, and his brother, Tony. That's it. That's my nation, that's my flag, that's my world, that's my protest, that's my don't protest, that's my everything. That's all that matters, those 4 kids to me.
So go one level deeper with me. I remember one time I saw you after you had done a concert, I think it was in Westchester, different kind of neighborhood, but I asked you what the racial breakdown was of your audience. Do you remember this? You told me the only black face you could see in the whole audience was your makeup artist. I believe that's what you said. She was in the front row, right? A lot of white kids love rap.
Yes.
Explain that. What does that say to you? What's the message of it? What's the bigger picture of it?
I don't want to be bashed because I don't want to sound like I'm on the wrong if there is a side, but I thought that was clearly a message that there was no such thing as racism. That's what I thought that was.
Okay.
I thought that was a perfect example. When I look out and I come up off the stage, when I'm coming out the bottom of the stage of my show, when I'm on tour, and I'm in my stance or whatever, and I open my eyes and I see everybody. I don't have this type of crowd or that type of. My crowd has always been everybody, thank God, and that's all I can answer for. So,
Do you think the younger generation, the millennials, do you think they're moving a little further away from the racism as opposed to the where it used to be?
It's not cool to them.
Right.
It's not cool to them. It don't matter to them. And when it's so not cool that it doesn't even matter to them. You know, they're like, what? You know, they're like, what happened? And that's their response. That's the millennials' response.
But could it be that you're a musician, and obviously as an ex-professional athlete or as an entertainer, do you think they treat you differently? Although you are black, you are a prominent figure in the black community. Could that be?
That's why I said I'm sure it may be because of my blessing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why my path has been different.
Right.
But I'm be first to one to say I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, but it also is the person that I am. I believe strongly that it's the person that I am.
You treat people a certain way.
Exactly.
Okay, so you guys heard what this cat Lil Wayne had to say, and you know the only credit I'll give Lil Wayne is that he was honest. You know, he basically said in so many words, if it doesn't concern his family, he doesn't give a damn. And I think that's a very messed up mindset to have as a black man in America. And I've often said in my previous videos that we have four types of people in the black community. We have those who pretend as if they want justice and they're about the people and about their community only when it's convenient or people are watching them. You have the other group of people who are afraid to speak up because they might, have a good paying job or whatever, or they don't want their white co-workers to ask them any questions or be looked at strange from their white counterparts or their white friends. Then you have the people who just don't give a damn. If it don't directly affect them or if it ain't about them making any money, they just don't give a damn. Point blank period. Then you have the people who actually put their image, put their livelihood, put their integrity, put who they are as a person, their name, etc., on the line for the benefit of the entire black community. And those people are hard to find. It's a couple of us out here on YouTube who actually have dedicated their life to this. There's people who do things within the community. You got guys like Colin Kaepernick that has put his image and his name and his endorsements on the line to stand for a better cause. It was another brother, I forgot his name at the time, at this moment, but he had endorsements snatched away from him. And I read the other day that Russell Simmons had gave him an endorsement to join with him in support of him getting that endorsement snatched away. So, it's those people are very hard to find, and it's a lot of us out here, but we're not always talked about or we're not always mentioned. But you will hear about the coons, and you will hear about the puppets who play into the narrative of what this system wants them to play into. Now, Lil Wayne, like I said, I will give him the benefit of the doubt that he was honest, because a lot of people would have came up there and, tiptoed around it or whatever. But he was honest. He was honest in his ignorance, but nevertheless, he was honest, But, it's sad because, him being 33 years old, and not understanding that we live in a system of white supremacy or we deal with racism on a day-to-day basis simply because maybe you're able to obtain a certain type of lifestyle is complete ignorance. Now, Lil Wayne forgot that he was the same person that white folks attacked when they thought he was stepping on the American flag. Remember, what was that, about a year or two ago, when he was doing his little rapping thing, he was stepping on the American flag, and white folks got all up rage and said, how can he do this? And they started calling him a nigger and an ugly monkey and all type of racial slurs for the simple fact that he was stepping on the American flag, whether he was doing it on purpose or by accident, which from his comments, I think he was doing it by accident. But nevertheless, they attacked him. They called him a nigga. And maybe Lil Wayne needs to get online and start searching his name and search up things that were said about him, because it's definitely been racism display against Lil Wayne. But as I said, because he's a quote unquote house Negro and he ain't out there in the field, picking cotton, he feels like racism is a figment of people's imagination, or it doesn't exist, or because white folks go out and buy his concert tickets, or they buy his albums, or you hear misguided young kids out here with a black, white, green, or purple calling each other nigger, that somehow we've moved beyond racism and we live in a post-racial society, and it's really just a form of ignorance. But again, he plays into the narrative what a lot of white folks, let me correct, a lot of racist white folks want him to play into. They want him to be a docile black man. They want him to display feminine behavior. Okay, they want him to not speak. They want him to, tuck his tail and keep his head down and just not say anything and go along and get along. And I think that, now in 2016, the days of black Americans being silent and just going along to get along, we don't have any room for that. We're not in a position to be silent anymore. Too much has happened. Too much is going on. Too much will happen in the future. We don't get a hold of this. And it's just sad that, we got grown-ass men out here who fail to realize the overall system that we live in. But I'm not surprised. Lil Wayne is the same one that was pushing that whole light-skin, dark-skin thing a couple of years ago. Playing into that constant static that we have in the black community when it comes to fair-skinned people and darker-skinned people. So Lil Wayne has always displayed a level of self-hatred. So I'm not surprised about this. No racism in America. Get the fuck out of here.